Good evening, good evening, good evening. Come on, phone. You see all that? You see all that? Okay. Okay. Good evening, good evening, good evening. So tonight we are going to talk about the spooky things that can happen in business, okay? I actually am going to be bringing on a guest to be trademark attorney extraordinaire, because I know I talk a lot about protecting your business, asset protection, blah blah blah, but there are other ways that we need to protect our business. Hey sis.
Hey, beautiful. How you doing?
Awesome. How are you?
I am good.
Get all these gadgets off. Okay. So tonight we are going to get into. Oh, there's no sound.
You can't hear?
Can you guys hear us? Yes or no?
I can hear you.
Okay. Someone in the comments said there was no sound.
Can you hear me?
So
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you good.
And I can hear you. Okay.
Okay, you look cute with the Farrah Fawcett, giving us Farrah Fawcett. Yeah.
Girl, I was trying to do something. I've been sitting at this desk all day long. I was like, let me go put myself together. You look beautiful as well, as always.
Thank you, girl. Thank you, girl. Okay, so we are going to get into the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay, so
Yeah.
When it comes to business, I'm always talking about business structure, asset protection, blah, blah, blah. But there are other assets that need to be protected, okay? Assets like your logo, assets like your slogan, assets like if you create any kind of content. So if you create ebooks, if you create courses, if you create pamphlets. So there are certain things called trademarks and copyrights, which is not my lane. That's why I have the intellectual property attorney extraordinaire, the biz lawyer. This is also who I refer. If you DM me for trademarks, I'm sending you to her. Copyright, I'm sending you to her. But I want to kind of have a little chat tonight with my girl about why waiting to trademark your name a little too late, waiting to protect your business name in your logo while waiting can sometimes take you out on the business side. Okay, so I know on social media we're gonna be millionaires by midnight tonight. You're gonna form your business, you're gonna get the funding in 5 minutes, and then boom. But in real life, that's not what happens. Okay, so let's just kind of do a little intro. So can you kind of tell us what is a trademark and what needs to be trademarked?
Yes, so a trademark is actually a source identifier for consumers to relate back to where a product or service originates from, okay? So there's 4 different types of trademarks. You can trademark your name, you can trademark your logo, you can trademark your slogan, and a lot of people don't know, but you can also trademark a sound. There's only about 60 registered sound trademarks with the US government. So like You Got Mail or the Harlem Globetrotters, how their sound is, that is actually registered trademark. So that is what a trademark is.
So I heard that Cardi B trademark occur, like that OKUURR.
So she filed the trademark as a word mark, and she got a rejection, and I think it's still pending right now. But they rejected it, saying that it was failed to function as a trademark. But I do think, her lawyer should have filed it as a sound trademark versus filing it as a standard character trademark. And then she probably could have made history before Pitbull, who just recently made history as one of the first pop artists to really receive a sound trademark. And he just trademarked the sound. So I think, had Cardi called me.
Come on, Cardi. Come on, Cardi. It's not too late, Cardi.
But Yeah, so I do think that's still a pending issue for her. But yeah, that was the rejection she got initially. But a lot of people don't know, when you get a rejection, that doesn't mean it's just like over, right? You can actually respond with a legal brief arguing why you should have the registration. So I don't know, I think her lawyer did respond, but I think that's still a pending matter.
Okay, let me just say this for all my DIY people. So, yes, you can just go online to the uspto.gov website. You can fill the form out, and you can, pay your filing fee, and you can file your trademark on your own. However, there are certain classes that you can choose from. What are classes, Biz Lawyer?
So classes actually, and I just looked it up real quick, that trademark did die. They didn't respond to the office action. So it's dead. So I guess Cardi, by that time, she was over it. But
Okay.
what classes are, there's actually 45 different classes under trademark law, and they're divided by products and services. There's 34 product classes, and there are 11 services classes. The reason being is because certain trademarks can coexist in a marketplace as long as they're not in competing industries. That's why we have Dove Chocolate, Dove Soap, Mac Makeup, Mac Computer, Delta Airline, Delta Faucet, Pandora Jewelry, Pandora Music. Now, what happens is, and you talked about your DIYer, and I just shared this story recently where I was at this event. A young lady stood up and was like, I own my own clothing brand. She was like, and I got my name, and she had it on, and she said the name. And me being the trademark lawyer in the room, I'm looking up the name while she's talking. And she's like, and I filed my own trademark. I got it registered. And, and sadly enough, she actually filed it in the wrong class. On her trademark, it said that she registered it for the clothesline, right? And so the clothesline, if you guys are not familiar, I'm from the west side of Chicago, where we used to have a clothesline, and we used to hang our clothes out on the back porch to dry, right? This was before dryers was frequent in the house or whatever. And unfortunately, apparel line, which is what she was referring to, which her hats, t-shirts, sweaters, jackets, is in a different class. So right now, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to talk to her because the room moved so fast. She got lost in the crowd. But right now, she's walking around thinking she has a registered trademark for her clothing line when she really has a registered trademark for a clothesline that she's probably not even selling. Yeah.
So for all my DIYers, right? There are certain things that we can do on our own. But when it comes to the legality of your business, you want to make sure that it's done right and then it's done right the first time. Okay. So there are different classes, meaning different categories that you can file your trademark in. You want to make sure that you're filing in the right category or categories. Okay. So, contacting, a trademark attorney to figure out, like, in my industry, what category should I be filing my trademark in. Sometimes, like she said, you may get a rejection. You may get something called, you have to have, what's it called, an office response?
Yeah, it's an office action response. And somebody said, I certainly could have reached out to that woman. I certainly could have, and I tried to catch her in the room, but also too, we are busy as attorneys, right? And so I will have to pay somebody to reach out to her on my team to do so. I tried to catch her in the room. She was not, like I said, she got lost in the crowd. But what I would also say is it's also important to consult with an attorney as well, because a lot of times people want to put their name and their logo together, right? And under trademark law, it's about using the brand. And sometimes over time, we like to change our logos, right? And people will initially, like, there was this video going around where this guy was like, instead of just trademarking your name, you want to put your name with your logo. And instead of, like, girl, it was all wrong information. He's talking about patenting and all that. I'm like, he's not even know what he's talking about, right? But the whole thing is, like, Nike owns Nike, the words by itself, and then they also own the swoosh symbol, right? Apple owns Apple by itself, and then they own the Apple symbol. McDonald's own McDonald's and standard characters, but then they also own the McDonald's logo. The reason being is because if you only trademark your logo with your name and you decide to change the logo because you don't like the design anymore, you could lose the rights to the trademark. So you want to make sure you own your name in standard characters and then also separate your actual logo out as well. Now, the law is not a one-size-fits-all garment. So it might work for you. It might be best for you to put your name and logo together depending on if your name is not distinctive enough in your industry, right? So that's why it really depends on your business, and that's why you need to sit down and get personal, tailored, customized advice to your business and your brand.
Okay, so a trademark, which is protecting your brand, that's something that we may not want to DIY because you want to make sure that one, it's being filed correctly. Two, it's being filed in the correct category. Three, are you trademarking your logo? Are you trademarking your slogan? Are we doing both? Let's talk about who should own the trademark. Should we personally own the trademark? Should an entity own the trademark? What's your advice on that?
So I feel like it depends again, right? Where are you? Where is your brand going, right? What is the value of your brand, right? And so if it's something where you're like in the very early stages and you are just trying to get the business off, you want to make sure that it's protected first. Maybe you will go ahead and put your brand name in your company name or start it off in your individual name. But remember, a trademark is an asset, right? And anyone who is susceptible to being sued, that asset becomes vulnerable, right? So when you begin to increase the value of your asset, you then want to move your intellectual property into what we call the holding company, right? So if we look at Beyonce, Giselle Knowles, and we look at all her intellectual property, it's owned by BGK IP Holding Company. And the reason being is because Beyonce is not going to do contracts or business with Netflix with the same company that owns her intellectual property, because if that contract or that business deal goes awry, she don't want them to be able to come after her intellectual property. Correct. And I also say even for restaurant owners, if you have restaurant equipment, right, that is an asset, that is a value. So you don't want that restaurant equipment to be owned by the same company that you're transacting business with your customers. So you want to put your restaurant equipment in a holding company. It's called asset protection. And once that asset has a value, now if you just filed in the trademark day one, nobody knows anything. You haven't built the goodwill of that trademark. They don't know about your products. They don't know about your services. It's not going to be probably as valuable when people are standing outside the door with long lines waiting to buy that product or that service. So you want to just make sure the question is, what is the value of it? And that determines who should be the owner of it.
Gotcha. Sound familiar, my little asset protection followers? Now, another thing that we could trademark, if you have an e-course that is popular, if you maybe have a product that's popular, if you maybe have a restaurant, but you have like I know in Texas, Papados has, a drink called the Hurricane. Can you also talk about besides your name and your logo, what are different other things that business owners may want to think about trademarking?
Yeah, so absolutely. Like if you have a product line where your products are very popular and you don't want your competitors to be able to sell that same product, like you said, like the Hurricane drink, right? Or, like Cheesecake Factory, they have like the glam burgers, right? And you want to make sure that you protect that because look, copycatters, sometimes they can't help themselves, right? They'll take your name, your product names, right? Your brand colors, all of that stuff. So you definitely want to make sure that you have protected, even like for instance, we talk about McDonald's, right? McDonald's have a trademark family, right? And so they own not only McDonald's, but they own McCafe, they own McNuggets, they own McHappy, right? They built a trademark family. But what McDonald's don't own is McFries. But guess what? If you try to sell some McFries realize they're going to come and shut you down because they built that strong trademark family, right? That can now keep you out of their family, even though they don't own that brand name. So when you stop, so even Shaquille O'Neal, he had a case like that where he owned Shack Attack, Shack Quack, and something else, Shack something. And somebody else who sold memorabilia tried to call the brand Shack something, and he was able to shut it down, not only because you're using his name and you don't have a license to, but you're also infringing on his trademark family, even though that name wasn't a part of the family, but it infringed on the family itself.
Gotcha. Good stuff. Good stuff. Now, let's get into the ugly of business, okay? So, in business, things are going to go left, okay? Maybe you and a business partner don't see eye to eye. Maybe a husband and wife split, or a boyfriend girlfriend split and they were business partners. Maybe you just have a hater, right? Maybe you just have someone who's just mad that your business is just booming, you're growing, but you forgot to file your trademark. You got your LLC. You said, when I get to it, I'm gonna go on ahead and trademark it, but sometimes people can get caught slipping. Can you give us an example of how someone may have got caught slipping and then lost the right to their brand name?
So I call these people a confiscator, right? And a confiscator is usually a person that know all about you, right? They know all about your business, and they get mad. And then what they do is they say, you know what? I'm gonna get them because they don't own their trademark, right? And I'm actually dealing with about 5 of these cases right now. And so what will happen is they will take your name, they will file the trademark, right? And so, but you as the business owner, you now have to enforce your rights, because under the law, if you can prove that you have prior usage, then you can also prove that if they knew about you, they committed fraud on the federal government. Because when you file an application, you're signing a declaration saying that you know of no one else using this brand name. But here's the downside to this, Joy. Right now, our firm charges $13.97. We have a special right now where you could book your trademark, right? But in order to take one of those cases, you got to pay us a $5,000 retainer. And that's going to cover us for the first 60 days. And then we have to fight these people. And what we're going to do is file an opposition to their application. And when we file that opposition, the moment we file it, the government is going to generate a calendar date, which is going to take us 2 years out, right? So now you will have to pay us after the first 60 days a monthly retainer of $1,500 if we cannot settle that case in the first 60 days, right? And so this is why I tell people you got to be proactive, not reactive. Because when you're proactive, you save much more money on the reactive side, right? Now you have to fight. The burden of proof shifts to you to prove that you were the first user, right? That they did commit fraud, right? That this is your ex-boyfriend being spiteful and evil and he wants to, right? And so, and sometimes, and because we had a situation where people will drag it out because they feel like, oh, well, I got more money than her. I'll just bury her in court fees or whatever. And I'm gonna tie her up in jurisdictional issues and motion practices and things like that, to where they just gonna bow out or they gonna pay me for it, right? So you don't want to get caught up in any of that, because people really out here, they really going for it. Like they really, I say it's the wild, wild west out here, especially with the internet and social media now. And so, and I get so many clients from that, right? Where someone will file their name and then post it on social media. Now I own you, right?
Right.
And it's like, now you have to fight to defend something that was already yours. So you don't want to be in that situation. I always tell people, don't put the cart before the horse. Secure the brand first, then build the brand.
So I always say is mean out here in these business streets, right? And so what, either you're going to pay now or you're going to pay later. If you pay later, you're going to pay more. Okay, so if you don't have a trademark, I would say book a consultation with the biz lawyer to see, like, where do you need to be, what do you need to do. If you have your trademark, you may want to make sure it's, and you did it yourself, or you didn't hire an attorney, you may want to just have, another attorney's eyes just, look over it, How much is your consultation?
So we have a discovery call. It's only $25 for 15 minutes. You get to talk to one of my team members, and they will. Now, if you have a situation already and you need legal advice, you need to talk. I have a team of 15 people. We have 3 attorneys that work for me. Our firm is ranked number 37 out of over 28,000 trademark law firms in the country.
Come on, Black Girl Magic.
All we do, right? And so if you have a situation already where you need to talk to an attorney, then you could book a 30-minute call for $297. That's talking to an attorney. The 15-minute call for $25, you're going to talk to a team member, and they will explain the process to you, and they'll check your name for you. But it really is so very important. Like, you know, I tell people, if you playing business, like we used to play house when we was kids, right? If you playing house with your business, then yeah, this ain't for you, right? But if you really intentional about building a business for wealth and legacy for your kids and things like that, you need your trademark. When you look at the Fortune 500 companies, they're not Fortune 500 because of their liquid assets. They're Fortune 500 because of their intellectual property profile and their real estate profile. So you definitely want to make sure that you own your trademark.
Awesome. Okay. So if you click in the drop down button at the top of my screen, it's going to have, her name is The Biz Lawyer on Instagram, B-I-Z. But if you click on the little drop down button, she'll be there. Yeah. But you want to make sure if you did your own trademark, we need to at least book a consultation just to make sure that we're good. Because here's the thing, when your business hits, it's just going to hit, right? Yeah. And you're just going to be, you know, the money's going to be coming in, you're going to be rolling, but with more money, it comes more problems, okay? And so you want to make sure, you know, that everything is protected. Now, I'm speaking because I'm out of order, okay? This is my attorney. I got caught slipping. I found out that someone is selling my grant bundle and I did not copyright it. So now I had to hire her for litigation because someone is out here, you know, making money off of me. Okay. So it's going to cost you more. And see, whenever I talk about things, I always tell y'all, I'm not talking about stuff that I Googled, right? I'm talking to you about stuff that I live, right? So although I'm an attorney and I'm smart and blah, 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 I got caught slipping, right? I don't want you to get caught slipping. So you want to make sure that whatever it is that you are putting your 401k in, dumping your savings account in, missing out time with your family and friends, that you own it. Because one, to go and fight for your name may cost you, and the person who's trying to take your name may have more money than you and just try to bury you or just try to bleed you out so that you quit, right? Number two, you want to make sure that you own it. So when you get into a position to sell your business, you're good. Yeah. Let's talk about, LegalZoom good for trademarking. Baby, I said an attorney. An attorney, LegalZoom is what they call a document processing company. InkFile, a document processing company. These are big companies who are saying, you know, we will file the paperwork for you. They're not attorneys. You want to hire, and this is the person who is protecting your baby. Like, this is your baby. Like, this is the engine of your business, right? Are we really about to go, you know, to the junkyard to get the engine for the Rolls Royce? Or are we just going to go on ahead and pay that full price to make sure that it lasts, right? So you want to make
this too, because we have about 5,000 applications we filed today. And I would say about a fourth of our clients went to LegalZoom first. And they had to come and get a real attorney. Like, we are real attorneys over here. I passed the bar with 3 kids at home and a newborn. Okay?
Come on.
We are real attorneys, and the reason being is because, like Joy said, they are data, like they collect your information and they transfer it over, right? If you need an attorney, you're going to have to pay way more, and they'll refer you to an attorney at that point. But at that point, you could have just started with an attorney from the beginning. Correct. Because not only do we just we don't just file your application. We do the research first. The research is so very important because we can possibly spot issues and challenges before even filing your application, right? And then not only are we going to do the research, but you're going to have a consultation a legal strategy call with an attorney before we even file that application to help you decide, is this something right for you to do? Because again, the law is not a one-size-fits-all garment. And again, like sometimes we get in conversations where we see issues, we see challenges, but we have a client who just paid $150,000 on a brand. And so they like, you know what? I'll pay the money to fight for it. I'll pay the money, right? Okay, and so now we got to create strategy before even filing the application on how we can possibly win it, right? And so those type of services you're not going to get from a LegalZoom because first of all, they're not your attorneys, right? And also as attorneys, we have a legal ethical duty to represent our client to the best ability possible. So if I see it's just no way like this trademark is going through, I'm not even gonna let you file it as my client, right? I'm gonna say, look, we gotta go in a different direction, right? Or also it's a possibility you filed that application and now you getting hit with a cease and desist letter where a big corporation telling you to turn over all your products so that they can destroy it, or all your marketing material so they can destroy it. You need an attorney to step up and say, hey, let me negotiate a phase out period for my client. Don't take all of their stuff. Or hey, maybe my client's stuff is not infringing on your stuff, and I'm gonna show you the same law that you trying to use against them for them so that they don't have to turn over their stuff. So look, you need someone who is on the look out for your brand. And like Joy said, I represent a lot of lawyers, but smart lawyers, we don't just do everything ourselves. I have lawyers who help me in real estate transactions and, divorces and all that type of stuff. But also, too, I have experts on my team, my CPA, right? And as very smart business owners, they want to surround themselves with the experts, right? We don't want to be the smartest people in the room, right? Because we paying people to help us advance and get past it. And I will tell you, a fourth of my clients have to pay a lot more money because they tried to go the cheaper way and not seek out the expert first.
So cheap is not always the right way because you're going to pay later. When it comes to something like a trademark, y'all, you just need to go ahead and get this, go ahead and, and save up, take these nails and lashes off for about 60 days and save up. On your Christmas gift, tell your boo, forget the Chanel, I need a trademark and a holding company and some contracts. But this is something that you do not want to miss out on. I've had 2 businesses where my trademark was denied. So if your trademark is denied because either your name could be too general. So if your name is too general, that means no one can trademark it. And then I've also had my trademark denied because another company had it, but I was just like, well, they have to come shut me down. I'm gonna see if they're gonna spend that money to shut me down. I'm a little bit more risky, right? But you want to make sure that whenever you are putting your blood, sweat, and tears in, that you own it in the beginning, because once you start making that money, things change. Now, there was a question about state versus federal trademark.
Okay.
I don't believe in state trademarks. I mean, because federal to me encompasses everything, but this is not my lane. What is your opinion on state versus federal trademarks?
And real quick, I'm gonna just answer this question because they asked like 50 times, and I want them to have after this anonymous filing of the owner or whatever. If you want to be anonymous when filing your trademark, you need to create a corporation, right? And hopefully that corporation can be anonymous. Now, a good lawyer can break the anonymity of a corporation, right? So if you trying to hide from somebody running off on a plane, something like that, just know some things can be open. But yes, you can file under a corporation, but a smart person can follow the trail back to that corporation. But it is important that you do not put your address, your home address, on your trademark application because it is public record and your home address will be available for the public to see it. And I would say reach out and book a strategy call if you really concerned about staying anonymous on how you can do that. Now, going to federal versus state. Now, I would say in some cases, a state trademark may be good. Like say if you are a state organization, right? And say you're the state organization for Illinois only, right? Or for Georgia only. that might work for you, right? But
Okay.
also, but it's like just Illinois, state Pacific only. Outside of that, no. We had a case where there was a restaurant. So Illinois is broken into three different districts, right? And even though I'm from Chicago, I'm from Illinois, because we practice federal law with the federal government, I can represent clients from all across the country. And we have clients across the country, even the world. But I found this case really interesting because this person actually did have a state registration, and they were in the northern part of Illinois. And so another restaurant established the same name in the southern part of Illinois. So they filed a lawsuit against them in the state of Illinois, having a state registration, and the state court said, well, because y'all not in the same district of the state, there should be no confusion, right? But had they owned that trademark on a federal level, it would have not mattered what part of the state or what state they were in, they would have been infringing on their federal rights, okay? So I would say federal is always better than state when it comes to possessing your boundaries. And the reason being is because there was a case back in the 1950s, and there was this restaurant in Mattoon, Illinois, and they actually had a state registration. And then later on, there was this corporation that filed, they were out of the state of Florida, and they filed a federal registration with the federal government because they began to move into different states. And there was an agreement that they would never come into the state of Illinois. But we all know money talk, y'all know the rest, right? And they came into the state of Illinois. Well, the restaurant that was originally formed in Illinois filed a declaratory judgment in the federal court of Illinois to kick the Florida company out, right? And the court said, well, how far do your customers come to your restaurant? How far do they travel? They said within 20-mile radius. And they said, okay, well, now they can't come within a 20-mile radius of your restaurant, but now you can't go outside your 20-mile radius of your restaurant. You can't create any more restaurants outside of this 20-mile radius. Ask me what was the name of that restaurant.
What's the name of the restaurant?
Burger King. So if you look at the original Burger King, Google it. The original Burger King was originated out of Mattoon, Illinois. But we don't know that to be the popular Burger King. The Florida Burger King is the one that actually filed for the federal registration.
No.
And that's the one we see on everything. Yes, and ask me today, that Mattoon, Illinois, the original Burger King is still open to this day.
No.
In 2023 from the 1950s. So you cannot allow people to put a limit on your destiny. Can you imagine all the money, right? They could have made, even off a license agreement possibly.
Correct.
And, you know, there's argument that they didn't have interstate commerce back then, because back then, under a federal trademark, you had to show interstate commerce. And the Florida company was able to get it because they moved into different states, right? But now there is no excuse, because what do we have? We have the internet.
Right.
We have if you have a website, a social media page, you now have interstate commerce. So you qualify for federal registration.
Baby, she's right. That does sound like the McDonald's situation. So if you're thinking about filing a trademark, if you already have a trademark and you did it yourself, or if you have received an office letter, just because you receive a cease and desist, just because you receive an office letter, just because you receive a letter don't mean that you have to bow down, okay? I'm always talking, we're going to fight until we can't fight no more, right? Or until it just don't make any sense. If you're having an issue, or before you get into an issue, you really want to speak with a trademark attorney to make sure that you own your name. If you want to own it in a holding company, if you want to own it in an anonymous LLC, click the link in my bio. I can form the structure for you, and then you can go on over to the Biz Lawyer and have her file your trademark. Did we talk about copyrights?
No, we didn't. We didn't talk about them. Let's talk about them.
Let's talk about them. So what is a copyright?
So a copyright is a creative expression fixed into a tangible medium, okay? And so it's really important that we understand what the different types of copyrights are, right? Because we probably are creating them in our businesses every single day, right? Like Joy Bundle Kit, that's going to be protected under a copyright. If you have an ebook, that's going to be protected under a copyright. But Joy, this is where people really get hung up at, because they have logos. Like if y'all got a logo, just drop a one for us real quick. Who got a logo in here, right? But what we don't understand about copyright laws is that whoever the creator is of the copyright, meaning whoever created your logo for you, is the copyright owner. Why is that a problem? That's a problem because if you pay your graphic designer to create your logo for you, I'm sure you paid that graphic designer with the intention that you own the logo. You probably didn't even think that far. You just probably naturally, I paid for it, I own it. But that's not what the law says, right? And in order to actually obtain ownership for that copyright that you paid your graphic designer to create, you have to have them sign off in writing, a written contract that they're transferring those rights to you. If they do not sign off in writing, guess what? They own that copyright 70 years plus their life, right? So even in death, those rights are survived by them. So if they get a clever estate attorney, right? If they get a clever estate attorney, now that estate attorney can come and say, you know what? I need to fund this estate and we need money in this estate. And you know what? Our client was a graphic designer. So let's go collect royalties on every single work they have out there, right? Or you could have a graphic designer who see that maybe you just sold your company, right? And they like, oh, you sold your company, but I own an asset, so I need a piece of that sale that you just had. So make sure that you understand that you have a work for hire agreement to transfer those those copyrights to you when you're hiring people to create works for you. And that's content, social media content. If you have a social media manager, people who are writing blog posts for you, even with your photographers.
Correct.
That's why you see the photographer who want to sue Khloe Kardashian or J-Lo for reposting the picture of themselves. Why? Because they took the picture, so they are the creator, so they own the copyrights to the photo, which I don't agree with that law all the way. But that's the law as it is right now.
So I have a copyright transfer agreement template on my website. You guys need to get that. There's actually a case out in Atlanta for Sweetwater Brewery. It's a beer company that started about 30 years ago. They had a family friend draw their logo, paid them $500. 30 years later, Sweetwater Brewery sold for $300 million. And what do you think the family friend did? Sue them for $30 million because a logo has value. If you see those golden arches driving down the street, you know what it is without even seeing McDonald's, right? So once again, when you are no one, when you are just starting your business, when you are robbing Peter to pay Paul, this is the perfect time to get all your ducks in a row, because once you start growing, people, it is mean out here in these business streets. Okay. You want to also make sure that you're talking to your graphic designer before you submit payment. Hey, I'm going to have you sign this agreement. You're going to explain to him what it is. It shouldn't be a problem. If it's a problem, that just means that's not the graphic designer for you. It's the same if you have any kind of employees who work for you and they do content. So if they're creating anything in your business, you want to make sure that you own it, not them. Okay. So either have a copyright transfer agreement or have a copyright transfer clause in your independent contractor work for hire agreement.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely. And I would just say as well, like it's really important. And you will hear like the founder of Nike, Phil Knight, talk about and joke about how he paid the college student from the University of Oregon $35 to create the logo for him, right? But he also talked about how, he knew this logo. He didn't know what the company was going to be, but he gave her stock in the company as well, right? And her stock is now worth multi-millions. So you got to just strike a deal, whatever it is, because sometimes the graphic designers don't even know that these rights exist, right? And so a lot of times what we'll get the question is, well, can I go back to them and have them sign off on it retroactively? you can do that. Hopefully they will be willing to do that.
Good
But also just, be willing to pay a little bit more if they aren't willing to. And if they're not willing to, then it's time to rebrand and do it right on the
Correct.
first. Yeah.
Correct. All right, let me see if I had any more questions. Let me see. Okay, Canva designs. If you do anything in Canva, Canva owns it. There's going to be something in the terms and conditions that you sign whenever you sign up with Canva. So you will not own that.
Yeah.
You will not own whatever you make in Canva.
Right.
Videographers.
Fiverr really quick.
Go ahead.
Just really quick, since we're talking about that, because I always get that question too. Well, I hired someone in Fiverr to do my logo for me, and they're like in a different country. Well, this is what we also gotta be aware of, right? Our contracts, right, are enforceable in our nation, right? You possibly can't enforce that contract over someone who's in a sovereign nation that we have no personal jurisdiction over in this country, right? And so I always tell people, like when we talked about LegalZoom and things like that, the value is in a relationship when you are working with people for your business, right? So you may want to hire a graphic designer who is local. And because you put that agreement before them, you also want to put an exclusivity clause before them, because we have this come up a lot where people will hire people to create logos for them, and then they'll look around and on the internet or social media, they'll see their same logo but used by someone else, and they'll be like, well, oh, such and such created this logo for me, right? And so that's why it's so important that you have exclusivity clause in your agreement, and you work with people that they can govern themselves accordingly to the agreement you had them sign, because you can't touch somebody in India unless you're gonna go all the way to India and file a lawsuit under their laws in their court, and then you got to govern yourself according to their laws. So sometimes it ain't cheaper. I mean, the cheaper way is not the best way, especially if you're building. Now, again, I'm not talking to people who just playing house with their business, but I'm talking to people who really in this for building generational wealth and legacy.
So if you maybe started off in Fiverr, you can maybe give your logo to a graphic designer and say, hey, this is like the tone I'm trying to go through, but kind of rebrand it, and so that way you can have everything done by a graphic designer. They're going to sign a copyright transfer agreement or work for hire agreement. And then, everything is good. So you're not, when you do sell your company, you're not going to have this person just pop up, trying to collect a check. Because people are always trying to pop up to collect a check in these businesses.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Okay. What about writing an ebook cover, photo editing, publishing company? I think an ebook is a copyright.
It is a copyright. And also to just be careful, like who's doing illustrations for you and think. I had a situation with a client who worked with a lady in Italy, right? And she was published 5,000 copies of the books, children's books, and the lady was like, no, I don't want you using my illustrations, right? And we have to be careful, because in certain countries, right, to steal someone's work of art is considered a crime, right? Like for the US, it's a civil matter, right? And God forbid you are traveling and your plane has to make an emergency landing and you can't get back on the plane because you got a criminal case against you because they filed it and you didn't lost by default because you didn't show up to court.
Right.
And and now they can hold you for criminal contempt. And yes, it gets this serious, right? And so you just want to be careful. And that's why I tell people, I have nothing against working with people in foreign nations and things like that. But if you're gonna do that, you have to make sure that you are protected and you are secure. Even going back to trademarks, in the US, we are a first to use jurisdiction. In China, they are a first to file jurisdiction, right? And so China is very big on working with people and building relationships. But when you piss them off, you piss them off, right? And they will go and file your trademark in China and try to file it in the US, right? And it's not much you can do about it in China. And the reason why they will file your trademark is in China, so you can't come over there and get anything done or created over there with that name on it anymore. So it's just, you want to just be very careful and understand these international territories if you're going to do business in those international territories.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Let me see if we have any more. This was good. This was good. If y'all want to see Biz Lawyer again, give me a money sign in the chat. We can talk about this again. Give me a money sign in the chat. So to do a quick recap, we are going to trademark our name and our logo. We may need to trademark them separately. We're going to make sure that we consult with an attorney to make sure that we're filing in the proper class or category that's going to protect what it is that we're trying to do. We are going to either own the trademark if we're just starting out in our name, but we're not going to put our home address on the application because that's public information. As the goodwill or the asset grows in value, we're then going to move it to another entity or a holding company for asset protection reasons. We are then going to copyright any of our books, any kind of writings. We want to make sure that we're doing business in the U.S. so that we can hold everyone accountable to the U.S. rules.
One thing I want to say, I say you can put it in your name. I don't recommend you put it in your name. What I recommend they do is come to us, let us start the research, and then once we do the research, they come to you and let you set up and establish the corporation for them. And then we can have the because we don't just jump out and file the trademark, so they will have time to do the incorporation of the corporation. Once we have done the research, right? Because what we don't want to happen is they incorporate and then we come back with the research, and because they incorporated in their state, say the state of Florida, but somebody owns the trademark, and they're in the state of Oregon or whatever. In the state of Florida, let them have the business name because nobody has it in the state of Florida, but now this company in Oregon can still shut them down. So we're going to do the research first. Once we do the research, then they can establish the business name, and then we'll file the application in the business name. And I like for people to expedite that process with their Secretary of State so it could be ready. So we can go ahead and get it on file as soon as possible.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will save this live and I will add the Biz Lawyer. So if you are just chiming in, if you are driving, I will save this live. I will add her in. I will add her business in the caption so that you guys, if you guys miss anything, if you came on late, you guys know exactly what you need to do to protect your brand. Okay. Because the brand is everything. Y'all saw Skims just became the sponsor for the NBA.
Yeah.
I mean, she came out with the men's line 2 seconds ago.
Right.
Sold out in 5 minutes, and then now she has a collab with the NBA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it really can happen like that, right? And I have a client, right, who has a skincare line, sold out in 8 minutes, made $1 million, right? And like you said, when you have that type of success in your business, also the counterfeiters come, the copycats come, the infringers come, because right when she had that success, right, it was so many fake pages going up acting like they were selling her products too. Because what? She sold out in 8 minutes, so what? She's on demand. People want the product. So, but it's easier for us to shut those pages down now that we have the registered trademark. So that's what I would say, like, make sure you guys get your trademark, get it on file as soon as possible, because the process can take about 12 to 18 months. We actually have a special right now. It's only $13.97 for people to get started with the process. We do the research. That includes the filing fee. You're working with, one of the top law firms in the country.
Top 35. Top 35
to get your trademark done. So I would just say, like, why not? I always ask people, will they build a house on land they don't own? And everybody always say no. And so I'm like, okay, so why do we build businesses and brands if we don't own them? Like, we gotta own our name. We have to.
And the thing is, you just don't know when God's gonna bless you. You don't know when you're going to hit. You don't know that this Black Friday you don't know when the blessing is coming. So you want to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Okay, so we got Black Friday coming up, we got Christmas coming up, we got birthday, Valentine. I mean, we got all these things coming up. I mean, do we need another shoe? Do we need another bag? I mean, or do you want to just, let me go ahead and just get my business together, right? All these trips, just get your business together. Because once your business is together, that's going to be the vehicle that's going to get you everything else that you're already wanting. Okay, so we need to own our stuff. Don't be like me, doing it late, paying more. Okay, do it in the beginning when it is cost effective. So if these nails and lashes got to come off to own to own it, if we got to maybe not be outside, for a second, whatever we got to do, we need to do it while she has this sale. At least do a consultation to know exactly what you need to do. If you're on a budget, if you can't afford it, I understand. You have a consultation option, you have a discovery call option. There is no reason by the end of this week we haven't already booked our appointment, just so that we know what our game plan is for how we need to protect our brand. So you know how much money that you need to come up with, how your brand's gonna be protected. If you have multiple brands, maybe you can't trademark all three, but you can at least know what the process is and kind of get you some whole little payment plan together. So by the end of the year, or by in the next 6 months, my stuff is together.
Yeah, somebody said, why does it take so long? Why does it take 12 to 18 months? And I would just say, we still be in Canada, right? But the reason the process, it used to take 7 to 9 months, right? So when we used to file an application, it used to take the government 3 to 4 months to review the application. Then COVID happened. Now, COVID did not affect the trademark office in a negative way. It actually became an influx of filings because people were getting laid off their job and starting business. Actually, in the year 2020 and 2021, the government seen more trademark applications filed in history. So the reason it's taken them so long to process them, it now takes them about 7 to 9 months to look at, 8 to 9 months to look at the application, right? Before it was 3 to 4 months. The reason being is because more people are filing applications because more people are being educated. What does that mean? The trademark also, it's not about what's the same, but what can be deemed confusingly similar. So therefore, you want to get your application on file as soon as possible, because you don't want somebody filing your name or something similar to your name before you. And even though, no matter how long it's going to take them, if you file your application today, October 30th, 2023, and someone comes and file behind you, your application is going to have priority over theirs because you got in line first, right? So you just want to get the application on file as soon as possible. And yes, please be patient, because this is a legal process, and it is a process with the government. And if we know anything about our dear government, we know that they are slow, right? I had a situation where I had a client. We had to fight for her trademark. When I met that client, she was a single woman. She was running her business. Baby girl got engaged. She got married, got pregnant, had the baby. Baby walking, that trademark done, right? So it takes time, right? But if you are patient and you are diligent with the process, and you have a good lawyer on the front end, right, who is advising you and counseling you through a process and saying, hold on, just give me a minute. We can possibly win this, right? We don't promise or guarantee anything. Any lawyer you run into and they promising or guaranteeing anything, run the other way. Because if they not paying a judge, jury, or tribunal to get those results, right? But what we are confident in our experience. We're confident in the work that we put forward, and we're confident in our arguments. So therefore, we actually just push forward. And if you're willing to be patient with the process and allow us to work, we'll get it done for you.
So don't call her on Monday and then ask her on Friday, is your trademark ready? Okay. But she will get it done. She will get it done. Yeah. Okay. I will thank you so much for joining me tonight. I know it was late, girl. My internet went out.
Oh, it's fine. You're perfect. You're perfect.
I'm out of order.
This is perfect.
Okay. So So thank you for coming and joining and sharing these nuggets. We will have to reconnect maybe in November and kind of do like another recap so we can kind of make sure that all of my business besties are, getting their stuff in order. So can I get a money sign in the chat to thank Miss, I call you Miss Biz Lawyer. What's your government name?
Rosina.
Rosina. Can we thank Miss Rosina for coming in and sharing her nuggets?
Thank
Instagram is going to be at the Biz Lawyer, the BIZ Lawyer. She's doing all my copyright work. I'm late, paying more, but it is what it is. But you want to make sure that you always own the foundation of your business, the transmission of your car, the foundation of your home. So when you and your business partner split, someone sees that you are a growing brand, you don't want to get caught slipping because you didn't know, or you were going to wait, you was going to get it. Someone can file your trademark and give you a cease and desist letter, and we don't want that. Any last words before we go, Rosina?
I just want to say thank you, and I just want to say thank you for your service to this community. Like, I see you, girl, and you are educating and serving, and I think that's what it's all about. That's what I love to do, just serve and educate. So I appreciate you. I know all your followers appreciate you. You do such an amazing job with just like giving them like the education that they need, because I always say knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is powerful. And you're telling them how to apply the gems that you're actually teaching them.
Well, thank you, sis. Thank you. All right. Well, everyone have a great night, and I will, of course, see you at the bank.
Bye. Bye. Bye.